Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa pathabhya ekarajjena saggassa gamanena va sabbalokadhipacchena sotapatti phalang varang. Better than soul sovereignty over the earth, better than going to heaven, better than even lordship over all the worlds, is the supramundane fruition of stream entrance. Now this Gatha, number 178 in Dhammapada, extols the nature of an enlightened being, the one who has reached the very first stage of enlightenment, the Sotapanna. A Sotapanna, he says that even it is better, it's a state far more desirable, far more exalted and sublime than to become a sovereign of the entire earth. It is better to become a Sotapanna than to become the Lord over the entire earth, so to say, the King of the earth, or even going to the heaven, or even the Lordship over all the worlds, not only this world but all worlds. Now, such is the, praise that the Buddha has showered on one who has become enlightened. So, the state of the enlightened, now for a person who is a spiritual seeker, which simply means one who seeks to become enlightened. And by that, what is meant is to be liberated from all the bondages of worldly existence. So an enlightened being is characterized by his freedom, his emancipation from the bondages of worldly existence, samsara. So, a state which is even better than the highest that you can think of in the mundane existence. So now, a Sotapanna, the spiritual seeker, it is quite appropriate for him or her to ask what distinguishes the enlightened person from the unenlightened. I will use today, I'm afraid we are a little late today, I will use some analogies to illustrate, what distinguishes an enlightened saint from an unenlightened being. The enlightened saint, who is known as Adya in Pali, and the unenlightened, who is known as the Puthujjana. What is it that distinguishes these two? By way of example, or the enlightened one can be, he resembles, let's say, like that of a mighty, majestic, ancient tree, like the Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree, all that it does is, in the winter now, for instance, shed and shed and shed. He sheds all the leaves, all the beautiful things that, show lush foliage throughout the year. Now all he does is shed them, gets rid of them. So, once it is fully shed, all the leaves are, shed away. Then comes the new, foliage, new vegetation, lush and green, and it's again so very wonderful to look at. So a saint lives in the world. An enlightened person lives in the world, and he is characterized by giving up all the time. What does he give up? He sheds or he gives up to begin with all his mental bondages, all the fetters that bind a being with with samsara, bind a being from one life to another life. A person is born and grows and lives, till the person dies. Now as soon as the person is dead, again then, during the lifetime, all the karmas that he has accumulated, or he or she, they have a potency. And this potency of the karmas catapult the person into a new state of existence. From life to life one travels, and that is samsaric existence. And it is endless and aimless. It is just drifting from one life to other, not knowing what it means. What is it for? What do they gain by this drifting? Now that is what characterizes an worldly person. Drifts and drifts from life to life. So here, the Sotapanna, one who has become a Sotapanna, has become spiritually transformed and become enlightened at the very first stage, he is characterized by shedding of all those mental defilements which grow into fetters and bind one from one life to another. As he sheds the mental defilements, so to say, he also sheds what is associated with mental defilement. See, life, whether it's an enlightened person or an unenlightened person, is characterized by certain factors, certain facts, let us say. The fact is, the life can be painted, let's say, as a wheel. Now in Buddhism, the wheel has tremendous meaning. The wheel of life or the wheel of dharma. The wheel of life is what the unenlightened being stands for. And the wheel of Dhamma, the wheel of liberation, wheel of freedom is what the enlightened being stands for. So here, the Sotapanna, let us say, we compare it with a clock. A clock has got 3 pinions or 3 little wheels, 3 wheels within a wheel. The big wheel is run by these 3 wheels, let us say. So now, the first pinion is, or the wheel, is that of second, the second one for the minute, and the third one for hour. So, as soon as the pinion rotates, the first one, the second one, simultaneously you see the minute also is rotating, and so also the hour one. So they are all connected, interdependent, they are mutually supporting each other. So these wheels, now as soon as a person allows a mental defilement to arise in the mind, anything, lobha, dosa, moha, any mental factor that defiles the mind, kilesa, greed or hatred or delusion, jealousy, all kinds of mental defilements are there, and all these, as soon as they are allowed to arise, the wheel, one wheel, the defilement wheel begins to rotate, and that in turn, involves the other wheel, the wheel of karma. So this defilement now manifests in the form of, first of all, in the form of thought, mental action. Then that gets translated into either speech, verbal action, or bodily action. Kaya karma, vachi karma, mano karma. So this mental defilement gets automatically translated into the karmas. And a karma is very powerful. Ultimately it is that which runs the wheel of life. And why? Because it has a potency. Every karma has a certain potency. It's like a medicine. A life-saving medicine, for instance, has a certain potency for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, the medicine will act. And thereafter, it becomes defunct. It doesn't work, ineffective. Similarly, it's a time barred, you see. Similarly, these karmas have a certain potency in terms of time. Now, certain karmas, for instance, will bring result here and now, and some other which will produce result in the next life, and some others which will produce result in any life thereafter. It has more potency. Then there is the fourth type, which is just defunct, a karma which should have produced result in the form of rebirth or any other life situation, for instance. If that karma does not produce the result in this life, then it becomes defunct. Now, for instance, a person has become a monk. If he were to be a householder, his karmas that he had accumulated in the past, or even in this life, are to mature in this life. They ripen in this very life. So now, if you give up the worldly life, the life of a householder, where it only as a householder it will mature, otherwise not. Because only in that set of circumstances this karma can fructify. It has all the potency for giving result. So now, if this person now takes to the robe and becomes a monk, now he can make that karma which would have fructified, which would have ripened as a householder, will no longer be effective. It is time barred, it is gone, it becomes defunct. So the Sotapanna, as soon as he becomes a Sotapanna, and there is a spiritual transformation within him. Now he sheds his mental defilement, which acts as a fetter. That means connecting one life with the other. You see, it brings about rebirth, janaka karma. Now, with that, with the arising of the mental fetter, you see, his karmas also he also commits karma, a certain karma which will produce result either in this life, next life, and so on, or become defunct. So now, with Sotapanna, he destroys 3 distinct types of fetters, which are most gross, insidious, and very, very perverted ones. One is known as Sakkaya Ditthi, the I illusion, the self illusion of a personality. Ditthi is at the bottom of lot of suffering in this world. Most of the, most beings who are born in the apaya, in the 4 subhuman states of existence, as an animal, for instance, or a ghost, or a demoniac being, asura, or at the very bottom of suffering, that is the, naraka, the niraya, where the hellish world. It's an unmitigated suffering beings who are born there. So these 4 states of suffering, and just paying back for all the evil deeds that they have done. That is where the results, the evil deeds produce their result in those 4 states. Now Sotapanna, through this spiritual transformation, as soon as he breaks the bondage, this bondage of ditthi, and therewith skepticism and cynicism, skeptical doubt and all that. Ditthi, there are two distinct types of ditthis. One is a sense that there is a thing called I, there is a thing called soul, there is a thing called self. So, this person refers everything. The sense of I-ness brings him the idea that he owns things. He has some soul inside him, some permanent element inside him, that even though he dies, that particular element does not. So from life to life it travels. So this kind of false and perverted view about a permanent entity called soul or self or atma or jivatma, you see, that travels from life to life. And so this now keeps going, the samsaric existence. So Sotapanna is able to break and destroy that, uproot that sense of, selfhood, that sense of self-illusion. And by that, once he does this, you see, many other mental defilements also get crushed, so to say. And with these three fetters destroyed, he has succeeded to, to make a whole lot of karmas which would have otherwise, would have made him come to this world again and again and again for hundreds and thousands of times. Now Sotapanna, by destroying the three fetters, he can be born only 7 times, that also not in the apaya, but only in the higher stages of sugati. So, by destroying these ditthis, 2 types of ditthis, one is a soul, belief in the soul, the other is belief in external practices, silabhata paramasa. Belief in the external rites and rituals that they are capable enough to free him from, from all sufferings and troubles and so forth. And so he doesn't take any notice of what happens to his mind. So by ignoring the mind and just believing in these external rituals and so on, he keeps the mind in a state of ignorance, in a state of blindness. So that ditthi too. Now in the name of religion, if you really go deeply into a study, rather objectively, what exactly are these religions doing? Most of these religions in the world, they are all very powerful institutions. All that they say is, do this, do that, some external thing. You have so many japas or go on pilgrimages and spend so much of money. Or all kinds of external practices which do not affect the mind at all, which do not, purify the mind in any way or develop the potentials, spiritual potentials in the mind. So now these external practices, that's another form of ditthi, another form of wrong view, wrong understanding of realities. So now once Sotapanna breaks them, uproots them wholesale, they can never arise again. With the result, all the karmas of the past, that in past lives, maybe hundreds of lives, he has accumulated based upon this sense of I-ness, this sense of soul and I-ness and Atma and all that. Based upon this wrong understanding or wrong view that he has a permanent element inside, etc., based upon that and the rituals and so on, and plus along with this ditthi, the skeptical doubt, which simply means that the mind is not open to reality, open to truth. because you are hooked on to a certain belief, and your belief pattern overtakes everything. So you ignore what is true, what is untrue, what is reality, what is not real. Your mind becomes, it doesn't examine these things at all. So an unexamined mind is a blinded mind. So these skeptical people who suffer from skepticism, they are equipment with a mind of that kind. It's not open to truth, open to inquiry, open to investigation of realities. No. So when these three fetters are destroyed once for all, a whole heap, maybe hundreds and thousands of all kinds of karmas which have been produced by these three fetters, mental fetters, those karmas, whole mountain load of karmas, so to say, they become defunct. In other words, those karmas would have given rebirth only in the apaya. Ditti, Silabbata Parama, Sakaya Ditti, Silabbata Paramasa, and the Vichikicha produces results only in the apayas. So you acquire karmas which will produce result in the apaya. So now when hundreds and thousands of lives you have acquired, you have accumulated all these karmas, katatta kamma they are called. Now these accumulated karmas based upon the three fetters are now demolished. They become, they become ineffective, they are time barred, so to say, they are defunct. And therewith their potency, the potency that they will give rebirth, vipaka, only in the apaya, that also is gone. So they are now liberated literally from being born in the apaya, four apayas. So the Sotapanna, his achievement, his attainment of spiritual transformation brings about immediately the three wheels I have mentioned, wheel within wheel. Just as the clock has got, the second and the minute and the hour. Now, you extrapolate this to this particular metaphor, the wheel of life. You have got this karma, the wheel of kilesa, the wheel of karma, and the wheel of vipaka. These three wheels, they rotate, they are interdependent, just as